Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to be continuing on the bot that we were working on before. We're going to start simply enough. The plan is to connect to Twitch today, and as part of that, just go ahead and turn on some background music here. That's not the right one. Audio output capture. Oh, I was trying to give you guys background music. There we go. Now you guys should have some light background music. Anyway, so what I was saying is, our plan is to connect this Twitch chat bot to Twitch today. So yesterday, we were able to get it, well no, not yesterday, Monday, we were able to get it so that the program would essentially run as a console application and would have automated messages that it would send out. And for those automated messages, we can make it so that they fire on a delay. Now, the way that we set things up, we are expecting it to be that there will be different types of messages that go out. Some will be on just a regular delay, and others will be sent out based on commands. So you think you talk to a bot and it responds to things. So that's essentially how we're going to design it today. The automated messages would be things like reminding people to follow and stuff like that. One of the Twitch channels I watch, Crimson Green, for example, who I know is actually at least lurking today, he uses his bot to remind him when he needs to save in his game because it's been a while. So it's just on this delayed setting, and the bot will just every few minutes say, hey, you haven't saved in a while, maybe you should. And that way he remembers that he needs to go and save. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the code that we wrote so far. So what we were doing was we set up the bot initially, starting with the idea of a class library would be what the bot is today, really. So our bot is actually this DevChatter.bot.core, and that's really what does all of the thinking. The only thing we have out here really is a little bit of just using that piece. So right now we do have some code inside of program.cs, but we're expecting that this bot may eventually live in Azure, or it might be web deployable, or we might build a local GUI. Haven't really decided yet, but for today we just figured, hey, why not mess around with some C# together and write some code. So the place that we started was this automated messaging system that I'm going to talk a little bit about again. So it manages a set of messages that are automated message. This interface doesn't really give us anything except give us a type to look at and a couple of things that we expect to happen when we're using it. So this may change, but it's figured this was a reasonable way for our current class to work, and we're kind of figuring we know we're going to get different types of messages that this thing sends, so why not start keeping track of what type of work it can do. So that's how we've got that set up today. There's only one class that is actually implementing this today, and that class is the interval trigger message, which is the one I talked about where it delays for a certain amount of time and then sends the message again. So the way that this works is our bot is essentially looking at the is it your time to display method. So if we take a look in our automated messaging system class, you will see that what it does is it goes along and says, hey, give me all of my messages where it's time to display, and then it's going to grab the message off of those ones. And those are essentially the messages it says, hey, I need to send these. So that's basically all we built for this today. There's some more unit testing that we need to do. For the most part, before we wrote most of the code, we had a test that told us that we needed to do it. I know a couple of exceptions to that, just because we were trying to get a little bit of the code going pretty early on. So we said, hey, why not get started? So that's how we started that. So that's basically where we are with the bot. Now, I did a couple of things. So actually, while we're discussing still, I'm going to get the bot running so that you can see it typing messages into a console window. So today, all it does is send its messages out to a console window. And what we want to do is be able to give it multiple, I guess, destinations for where those messages can go. So right now, everything goes through console output, so that's why it's all just going to send out here. So once a minute, it's going to say like hello or something like that. But then what we want to be able to do is tell it, hey, don't go to console output this time, instead go to Twitch. Or maybe go to console, go to Twitch, and go to Mixer or YouTube or wherever else we want to connect the bot. Maybe it messages out to Discord or Slack or Teams. So the idea is that we want to make this bot able to just connect to a different system. And the way that I am drawing that distinction, for now, what I did is I set up another project. So if you were paying attention and were watching the stream on Monday, you will have seen that we had 3 projects that we were working with. We had DevChatter.bot, which is our console application. And then we also have our core project, which contains all of the main parts of the bot. Very simple right now. I'm not even putting folders in here because we don't know what structure we want to end up with, and I'm going to let it sort of organically create and pull these out as we go. The last thing here is that we have our unit tests project, and right now that just has a set of fakes and some other things. Hey, welcome, Bit O'Brien. Thanks for following. So that's basically what we set up today. The piece I added, which I did a little bit off stream, and I just want to let you guys know about, so I'm not jumping ahead of you. I set up an infrastructure project, and you'll notice that I specified that this is the project for connecting to Twitch. Now, something I like doing when I'm building my projects, and you guys can, let me know what you think about this approach, but it's how I like to do things, is I like setting it up so that I have a class library for any broad set of infrastructure concerns that I'm going to have. And that lets me do things like, all of the associated classes and pieces that have some kind of dependency on Twitch are specifically going in here. That way I don't end up with any Twitch-related stuff intermingling with other pieces. So if I'm connecting to, say, Mixer's chat or Discord's chat or Slack, Teams, etc., I don't want to have any Twitch pieces in there. So that sort of forces me to make sure that any classes I define that I'm actually going to use anywhere end up in core instead. Now, if I did a single infrastructure project, I could let those intermingle a little bit, and this keeps me from doing it. So if you take this approach that I'm doing, one tip that I have for you, at least for my experience, is every once in a while you end up with 2 dependencies that are closely enough related that you do need them to actually talk to each other. Maybe one of them defines some classes that the other one's going to need access to. When you run into that, feel free to just merge your assemblies away and things like that. As long as you didn't draw strong dependencies on your assembly structure, then you can make that modification easily, because the namespaces will still match. Remember, I have devchatter.bot.infra at the beginning of each one of these, So if I end up making just a general infra project at some point, then Twitch can become a folder in that if I need it to. So that's the approach that I sort of took with this. If you have a strong opinion on it, just shout it out, let me know, type in chat, and we can talk about it. Okay, so I mentioned that I had this. Now, obviously I wanted to draw a Twitch dependency, so the one that I grabbed is actually the... I found a library that I figured, hey, let's start with that one, and if down the road we either want to add to it or replace it with our own, we can do that. So the one I grabbed is actually a Twitch lib one, and it actually is just someone's library for talking to the Twitch API. And I was like, hey, yeah, that actually sounds interesting, because then we can focus on the bot writing and not worry as much about talking to the API. Now later on, if we want to have fun and figure out how to do API work, we'll just toss this thing out and write our own code. So what I am going to do first here is open up the Twitch chat client and show you guys basically what Twitch lib is giving us. So Twitch lib gives us a couple of things. The first thing it's going to give us is this Twitch client. Also, hi Crimson. Hype, hype, hype. The Twitch client is going to get us a couple of things. This is the actual tool that we're going to use to talk to the Twitch chat. And the way it's going to do that, you'll notice that I have this Twitch client.send message, and I also have a few other things that are on it that will become relevant and obvious once I show you this. So Twitch client comes with a few methods. So the ones that we care about are... Where are they? So you'll see we can get access to whispers and things like that as well. So we can send raw, send whisper, join channels, leave channels. So those will become relevant if we want it to be in more than one Twitch channel at a time, for example. And obviously send message. And there are a few others. Joined channels, channel emotes. Should be a list for those. Not sure what all of these do. So either way, we're not writing commands yet. So the only thing that really matters to us is the ability to send out a message. So we want this. So you might be wondering, how is what I wrote here any different from just newing up one of these Twitch chat clients? So I wrapped this because it is the easiest way for me to be able to test this and not have a dependency directly on Twitch. So I want the bot to be able to send out messages regardless of what it's connected to. So I put the iChat client around it. And what it's going to let me do is extract out things like send message into this interface. And then I don't have to deal with knowing whether I'm talking to Twitch or talking to, say, Discord or Slack. So now anything that implements iChat client is going to have a send message that takes in a message. And I don't really care about the result of that, so there's no return on it. Okay, so obviously that's not my credentials and other stuff. I am going to hide that when I do actually put that stuff in there, and I'm planning on putting it in config. So, out here, you'll notice that I am writing to console. So I want to make a modification to this so that I can write out to the console window using that same trick. So I am going to make a new class. I'm not going to worry about the name. I'm going to rename it in a second. And I'm going to call it an iChat client, implementing the members. So what I obviously want to do on this one is say console.writeLine message. Okay, so now I've essentially hidden away my console writeLine call inside of this. So I'm going to call this the console chat client. because that's what it does. And then inside of program, I am going to use this instead of doing a console write line. So these ones are okay, because this is the initialization of the bot itself. These would write to console regardless. It's after that point that we would connect to services like Twitch. And we'd probably write those messages out to the console window as well. But in here, we want to send our message to all the connected services. So I'm going to make a collection. I'm just going to hard code this in here because I'm less worried about this piece because I know that we're throwing this away and replacing this fairly soon. So I'm going to make my iChat client. Maybe call it connected clients, because we will make connections to them before this point. And for now, I'm just going to put our console chat in here. And then, instead of calling console write line, we want to call our chat clients. So for each connected client, chat client dot send message, and we are going to make that message, pull that up a couple of lines, get rid of this, and now we are able to write to the console in the same way that we are going to with Twitch. So while this has been running, you'll notice that once every minute our bot has been spitting out to the console and saying, "Hey, I'm the bot." So I'm going to go ahead and kill that program for now and start it over again with these changes. So it should be able to make those same messages while we are working on this, but now it should be doing it without having to actually just call to the console. So we've sort of hidden console away in the same way that we're going to connect Twitch. Yep, sorry about that. Just had to cough. Figured you guys would appreciate if I didn't cough into the mic. So, the next thing that I want to do is OAuth our DevChatter bot. So, if you've been paying attention in the chat and looking at who's in here, you've probably noticed that there is a DevChatter bot that's in here. That is a Streamlabs bot. Actually, it is my Streamlabs bot that was upgraded from AnkBot, which is what it was running before. I might have mentioned on Monday that there's a pretty common bot that a lot of streamers on Twitch used before called AnkBot. I actually like it a lot. It's fairly customizable, and you can make modifications for it using Python, and there's actually a lot of cool things you can do with it. AnkBot was acquired by Streamlabs recently, and they rebranded it, upgraded it, made it a little nicer, so I actually do like that bot a lot. I run it, both for gaming as well as in here. So it does a couple of things, so feel free to, test out that bot. I don't have it doing very much, but my goal is to have both the Streamlabs bot running as well as ours. So my plan for today is to have our bot be the same, use the same connection, which I think it can do. If we run into a problem with that, we'll just make another Twitch account for the other bot. But what I want to do for now is yank this information out into a configuration. So, in order to do that, we need to have config inside of the running executable project. So I would love to put it over here and have it just inside of Twitch, but I can't get away with that. So that means that we need to add new configuration over in this. So I am going to go ahead and add an app config file for now. Can I not just call it app config? Seriously, guys? Okay. So, as you may remember from when I started this, I'm going to point out to you guys, we are running .NET Core 2.0. We're not doing anything crazy. We're not doing like 2.1 or anything weird like that. We're just running a standard .NET Core 2.0 project. The next thing I want to show you guys is something that you should be looking at if you are any kind of Microsoft developer, no matter what you use on the tech stack. So, in the past, Microsoft was making a move to essentially upgrade all their docs. I don't remember how long ago this was, maybe a couple of years ago. So if you haven't checked these out, they are way nice. There was actually a tutorial, which may still exist, I'm not 100% on that, that was like an intro to C# for people that were just coming in for the first time on .NET Core. That was actually written by a few of us that worked on it. I was primarily the editor for it. Someone else did a lot of the writing for it. And I believe it's still up somewhere, but I don't know exactly where because they've added so much documentation to this. It was like a getting started tutorial. But either way, I would recommend that you actually take a look at some of this because they have a ton of stuff in here that is way better organized than it was before. And one of the reasons why it is so much nicer is, so let me do this. So if we go to .NET and we take a look at, say, learn about the languages. First off, they actually have the ability to now run the C# code while you're in the browser, which was really fun, by the way, because when we were writing ours, we were actually writing for this tool to do it as well. So we were able to get that. But what that gets you is, in your actual tutorials as you go through, they can just put in those little points. I was hoping I'd grab an article and there would just be one, but I guess not. Bummer. Seriously, guys? You don't have like a... Okay, so at least in the one I was working on, every article had a little code snippet piece and you could run that and actually use it. So any code piece you had would just let you do that. So anyway, what's cool about this is not just that it's here and it has these nice features. The thing I want to mention is this. So you can actually just click that little edit button and that jumps you over to the .NET docs over on GitHub. So you can actually suggest changes. So if the docs are missing stuff, just tell somebody or write it yourself. If something's wrong, fix it. It's way nice to be able to do this. I mean, that's, literally how we were writing it when we did our piece, and everybody's been moving this over here. So docs are terrible. I hate docs. These docs, not so bad. So take a look at them. Anyway, the reason we are here is because we are going to pull up custom config sections. So, because it should just tell us. Why is it not? Really? Config. Because the cool thing that they added is this idea of the configuration builder that is going to automatically yank out your data from your config settings, which is really nice. So if you were a .NET Framework guy, you have certainly inherited from config section before. And one of the reasons why this is so nice is you don't have to... essentially your class that was going to be the one that housed the data, you had a dependency on that, a fairly heavy one, on the config section concept, because it needed to be a config section. So I wasn't a big fan of that. I don't know about you. So it's a lot nicer this way. So now what you do is at the beginning of your program, you can essentially just start building up your config. So I'm just going to put it here for now. I know not super nice, but I just want to put this in here and we'll get it working. So I am going to grab configuration builder, and you'll see what it does in a second. So why didn't you like it? Ah, right, because I want a JSON config file. So let's go grab this. So we're going to go grab this NuGet package. This Microsoft extensions configuration JSON should also pull in, yep, there we go, pull in all the base configuration pieces as well. Okay, so now we have that. Actually, that's a good point. We're going to switch off of our, I just grabbed app config, but that might not be the one that we want. Okay, so we can grab appsettings.json as our config, because I said config and I meant appsettings.json, didn't I? Let's just comment that out for now. Let's make sure we build, restore package, etc. We added that in. Let's go one step at a time, guys. See, we got an error. And a bunch of warnings. Oh, right, because it's running. Also, you'll notice, so it did actually do all of the console writes that we were expecting it to, which is pretty cool, because we did extract out the idea of the console app. Not exactly like the biggest dependency we've ever extracted, but it is nice because it shows that that piece will work as soon as we connect Twitch. So, let's go ahead and run this, and now it builds. Yeah, the only project that didn't build was the actual bot because, well, it couldn't. Okay, so we need to make our builder, and we're going to create an appsettings.json for it to actually work. So what you'll notice that it does here is it connects, essentially this configuration builder is going to connect to all the different configuration pieces that you have and extract out what you want from them. So this is really cool if you do a setup where you have both configuration files as well as environment variables. So I know some shops where what they'll do is they'll have sets of environment variables that are managed on the different servers. So the servers have environment variables that determine what is going on with them, and you can override those values by writing in the config file. Sometimes they do it the other way. Whatever setup you want to go with is fine. So what they then do is, for development purposes, configuration file is how they modify things. So all development purposes are done in that, and then when you deploy a config change, you do that more deliberately because they don't want to make configuration changes on servers accidentally. So I've seen some setups like that. However you want to do it, that's fine. So what we are going to do then is set up our JSON file. Ours is going to be fairly simple because all we need to actually have in it is the values for the username and the OAuth value. So you'll remember that if you were here on Monday, that we were going to connect to Twitch, and that in order to do that, we have to use OAuth as the way of connecting. So what it does, essentially then, is we're still going to use a username and password connection, but instead of using the actual password for the account, we're going to use an OAuth token. And the nice thing about using an OAuth token, which I already set that up in Twitch, it's pretty easy. I mean, if you just, Google it, you can connect that and grab an OAuth value for it. So it's basically just a string that is used just like your password would be, but for connecting that account. But either way, the point of using an OAuth token is this. Let's say that I forget to put my hiding screen. Let me just show you it really quickly. So when I have this up, you guys can't actually see what I'm doing. But then jumping back here, that screen makes it so that I can do whatever I want without you guys seeing what I'm doing. And so essentially then what I'm going to do is put that code in there. Now if I screw up and you guys see my OAuth token, then you'll be able to get onto that bot's account. So what I need to do in order to prevent you guys from messing with stuff is go remove that OAuth token and create a new one. And cry myself to sleep because I failed. So that's basically what we get to do, is connect with that. Additionally, usually the OAuth token is a more limited connection. So using that OAuth token, you couldn't say, remove my password access. You could only do things that OAuth can. So changes things a little bit. Let's take a look. Do we have an app settings? .json file? What's this? That's settings, that's settings. App settings. Just wondering whether it actually shows up in here. No, it doesn't. That's hilarious. It's not even in like the .NET Core stuff. TypeScript config. That's hilarious. I guess because we're inside this project? That is weird. Yeah, the things you find when you dig around in here. Okay, well, I'll just make a JSON file. So, let's see. TypeScript, that's hilarious. I just want a JSON file, so I don't know about you guys, but I like JSON a little bit better than XML, especially at this point, just because of how nice the support has gotten for it, and it's a little cleaner. But if you are a fan of XML, you are welcome to continue using it. It is also supported with all of this stuff. It's just not the approach I'm going to be taking. Okay. So, let's take a look at our Twitch chat client and see what we need to yank out. So, first off, I want to hide these under the Twitch chat client section, right? So I'm going to make a Twitch chat client, and in it I am going to have probably Twitch username and Twitch OAuth. So Twitch username, and then Twitch OAuth. Okay, let's get rid of this stuff we're not using. And if we need to add that later, we can. Okay, so those are the settings pieces I'm going to yank out right now. I guess I could also pass in the channel. So I just wrote in channel for now, but that is going to be DevChatter. So let's go ahead and add that in as Twitch channel. I guess in some services, maybe the channel would be a different kind of thing, so it makes sense to have it here. What is it gonna be? It is going to be DevChatter. There we go. So, we are now ready to pull that into our object. So, if I jump over here, I go ahead and create a class. I want to make Twitch client settings, maybe? I don't know. Names are easy to change, so if I have any crappy names of anything, either just send a pull request or yell at me in here about it and I'll fix it. So now that we have that, you'll see what they're doing in here is, so you can't tell because the the code formatting currently on Docs Microsoft does not show us string interpolation nicely. So this is just accessing configuration and just saying, hey, you know, option 1, right? Oh, thought I was going to sneeze there. Probably will in a moment. Okay, so what we want to do, so we can either tell that to pull that configuration out into a nicer place, or we can just access it using this same configuration trick that they're doing here. But I think what I want to do is go this way instead, because it's a little nicer. So you'll see in a second, but first I'm just going to do it with the configuration, because I'm not sure how many of you have actually seen that before, and it's a nice little piece. So we made this configuration option by using our builder to build the configuration. Now obviously we can do this inside another method if we want. We don't have to hide it here. However, just to show you, I can do this, and then I can pass in the key that I want to use. In our case, what did we call it? I wonder why that's still red squiggling me over there. I'll look in a second. Okay, so we can say Twitch chat client, and then inside of that, because we want a sub option, I believe we just go like this. That's just going to get us a string, so console.writeLine. Let's call this one DevChatter Bot and secret. Okay, so now when I run this, I don't currently have an instance running of it, so I'm going to go ahead and run that again. And I'll drag it over to the screen for you guys to see what it prints out. You'll see that it spit DevChatter Bot out at the top, which obviously came from our settings. 1 second. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. Figured it's better than sneezing on stream. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So obviously we can connect our configuration that way. And all we did to do that was just tell it, hey, this is a JSON file of config stuff. But that's not fun, so let's go ahead and change how we do that. So what we're going to do instead, this should actually show us, where is this? So services configure that. Configure simple options with the delegate. Nope. Configure that. Nope. So as I recall, I'm now just going to do it this way. So that adds a new source. And then add JSON file. Did it have a... I swear there was a way to... I just don't remember what it is. This is why I jumped to the documentation, because I can never remember, because I always configure it at the beginning and then don't worry about it. Services.configure. If anybody remembers that one, feel free to shout it out. Oh, right, there it is. right? So there's my subsection, which would be this one. But was there not a way of telling it what the type on that is? I swear one of these things was generic. Yeah, I always figures you can't remember this stuff on stream, nor can you find it. That's why it's always a good idea to prep for this type of stuff. So, let's see. We're doing those, we're doing those. Someone should really simplify this. And by this, I mean the documentation. Okay, configuration, my configures, just that. No. Memory provider, binding the POCO classes. I think this is the one. Builder. That's funny, adding an in-memory dictionary of your settings. Okay. Get section bind to my window. That is funny. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Why don't I get bind? Alright, Google, you are going to solve this problem. It's hilarious that I can't remember how to do this. One sec. Do I just want to jump to the different one? Build that? Get value? What is this? Is this the one I wanted? Microsoft extensions again. Yeah, I think this is the one I want. Alright. It should be off of this. Don't know why I can't find it. Well, in that case, I'm just going to shove them right in there and not worry about it. And I'll fix that off stream, because I have wasted enough time digging into this. That is annoying. Alright, so I've already mentioned to you that this is DevChatter Bot. This is DevChatter. And then that is not OAuth. But I am going to hide the screen from you guys for a second. Okay, so that should be sufficiently hidden. Let's bring you guys back. There you are. So I'm going to ignore that stuff for now and just come in here. And I am going to add another piece. Actually, let me hide this from you again. So I am going to hide that further because I realize I'm going to need to go in here at some point. So in order to do that, I am just going to hide it further. Just fine. Okay, I will not open another file. Okay, let's go ahead and bring you guys back now. So there we go, hidden away inside of hidden. And I just know not to open that, kind of like I was going to know not to open my config section. Anyway, we have that. So now what we get is our Twitch client goes out, does something, and I think I didn't read exactly how it works, but let's go ahead and try to connect. And then it had an onConnected, which I am going to wire up. So Twitch client on onConnected. Hey, good naming. No, that's not good naming. Let's just fix that. Actually, I might just say Twitch client connected. Alright. So when it connects, then sure, we'll say that it is ready. I didn't do this in an async way just yet, so So in that case, I'm actually just going to make is ready for now. And if we tell it to send a message, and actually it's going to want me to underscore it, which is fine. Whoops. I'm going to set this to true as soon as we get it connected. And then I'm only going to send a message. So if is ready, then we'll send our message. So if we attempt to send one before that, then Twitch won't get the message. I'm not too worried about it. But obviously I'm going to need to make that connection process a little bit more complete. So you'll remember in program.cs, I set it up so that I called these connected clients. So what we're going to have to do at the beginning is connect our clients to this. So I want to make a method here out of this piece that connects our clients and returns back the set of connected clients. So I am going to say, let's go ahead and extract a method here. And I'm going to call this connect chat clients. And in here, we're going to do the connections. So this is the point where we would go attempt to connect, and then if it did connect, we would add it to the list and return back the list only of connected clients, which means that they would all be waiting for things like, you know, the connection to have happened. So we'll be doing async events, blah, blah, blah down here. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to do that. So we're going to connect this and then assume that it works. And in fact, I might even thread.sleep for, I don't know, a second. So I don't know, 2 seconds. We'll give it a couple of seconds to try to connect. I don't know how long it's going to take. But since our system waits a minute before it sends out anyway, we have a full minute regardless. Okay, so now we have that. This might connect. I have no idea if this is going to work. We're not currently running an instance of this program, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Hopefully I don't crash everything. Now I'm going to leave that console window on the other screen for a second, just in case we get an error related to OAuth. So I apologize for that, guys. But I'd rather not change that OAuth if I can avoid it. So that's kind of where we're sitting. So I will give it a minute. So let's talk a little bit about what we've got here and what we want to build in addition to this. So for now, I mentioned that we have a connection to Twitch, and we can send out a message built into TwitchLib, which actually I will pull that up. So I mentioned that we were going to use TwitchLib, and that has a nice place on the interwebs on GitHub where you can take a look at TwitchLibs. And we may... Oh, hey, look at that. Hello, everyone. I am the bot. We have successfully gotten our first message up there. That is awesome. I will go ahead and pull that on screen so you guys can see that. But right there, we posted both to the console as well as out to Twitch. So our bot successfully connected and sent that out there. So, hooray! It works! It works! Okay, so there's our first message. Let's make sure it can send another one, which again is just going to be, you know, within 60 seconds of that, it should send out the next one. Or I should say just outside of 60 seconds, maybe. I do enjoy what I do. It is quite fun. So the bot actually works. Hopefully we send that next message. We only got a few seconds left to send this one. But it's kind of neat. Hey, there it goes up there, and it's in the other one, so awesome. I'm going to go ahead and kill that for now. We don't need it sending out more messages. So our bot connects to Twitch, and it also connects to the console. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about was TwitchLib. So right now, we are taking advantage of what it gives us, because someone went through the trouble of making a C# library for connecting to Twitch, which I think will be really useful for setting up a bot for us. So I have not read through the documentation of this yet. Pretty much all I did was say, hey, this thing, you know, looks like it does like some eventing around some Twitch pieces, has a way to connect and a way to send messages. And I'm like, that's going to save us the headache of dealing with that early on, and we can focus more on building some cool stuff with our bot. So the types of things that I want to look at are like keeping track of things like how long is someone in the chat, and maybe doing some kind of game based on this, because I thought that would be kind of fun and a neat thing that we could do. So the bot can look at how long you've been in the chat by looking to see who's actually in the room while we're doing this. So it could be fun. So the piece we used right here, I mentioned we connected with the Twitch client. So it is this, and you'll notice that it has a bunch of events and other pieces on it. So things like, hey, we connected. It also has things like new subscriber, resubscribers. So the bot could post things and say, hey, thanks for subscribing, thanks for resubscribing. Users entering and leaving the channel. So we could, for example, keep track of how long someone's been in chat and how frequently they're talking. So like we could say to someone like, hey, yeah, you usually show up and wait 10 minutes before you say your first thing. Could you go through how you connected your console program to the Twitch chat client? Yeah, no problem. So right now, we're actually leveraging this chat client, which does this piece for us, but I will bring up its, since we were walking through it anyway, I was going to pull up the connection that is inside of this Twitch library. So it has a nice connect method there. That is the one that we're calling. So our Twitch client is actually just a wrapper around this piece for now. And the reason why I wrapped it is because I want to have the same interface for all the chat clients that we put in here, whether it be connecting to Twitch or Discord or Slack, Mixer, YouTube, whatever we want to connect to. I want to do it the same way every time. So the interface that they all currently rely on is just this. So we're starting out very simply here. Probably I'm going to move the connect method into this interface as well. Because what I want to do is make it so that our program goes through a set of connections. So ideally we'll have a GUI eventually, but for now it's just running as a console application. So what would likely happen is the program will start up and it is going to connect all the chat clients. So we'll probably create a set of new ones. Each one will have its own configuration, and that'll be the credentials, things like that, which we'll just set up as config files in, say, appsettings.json files. And then once those connect, we'll have a collection of them. I'll go through and connect each one. I'm expecting that the connections, we're going to console write line some information out to the screen saying, hey, yeah, connecting to Twitch, and then, a message saying, hey, yeah, we've connected. And that's sort of what I'm expecting is going to be the route that we're going to go for now. Likely, even if we get a graphical user interface on this, there probably will be something similar to that. We're probably going to have a textual readout for developers to say things like connecting to Twitch and stuff like that. Just because we know that anybody that is running this bot is probably a developer, at least to some extent for now, because, we're not building this for everyone, we're building this for devs. And we like to see cool information like that as we run it. So that's all we do on this one today. So the actual connection, if we want to take a look at that, we're not doing much today. All we're doing is calling out to TwitchLibs connect, and that is just referenced with a NuGet package right now. So if we take a look at our dependencies in NuGet, you'll see I've got TwitchLib. So we're just doing a connect, waiting for it to connect, and then just switching on a flag to say we're ready. And the reason we're doing this with the flag right now is that I didn't want to go and put in the actual connection stuff here yet and, await it and everything like that, because it's a pain. I just wanted to get us to, hey, sending messages, because that's more fun. Yep, I like the more the merrier messages of what the program is actually going through on important parts. Yeah, so when it's doing stuff, it is much nicer if you actually get to see what's happening. So welcome to being a dev. It's much more fun that way. So I am going to not actually run that. So I was going to jump to that, but instead I'm just going to pull it up over here on TwitchLib. So what we have here is the connect method that it is calling, and I mentioned on Monday when we started this project that the way that Twitch works is it's an OAuth connection, and the actual chat in Twitch is just IRC. So from this, you could actually go grab your favorite IRC client, you know, MIRC or whatever, which, I mean, I haven't really messed with in forever, but you could go grab one of those and you could connect to the Twitch chat using it, which is kind of neat. But what that means is that the same way that we do that is how this one is actually connecting. So I am going to take a look at the actual client it's using. So, a WebSocket client. That's funny. So that is actually what's connecting. So, yeah, see? WebSocket. So it's passing in our set of credentials to Twitch. We are using the standard Twitch port. We didn't modify that. And the standard Twitch host, we did not modify either one of those because we are just connecting to Twitch. So they were actually options here in our Twitch client, I believe. And I like the way that this was set up. The actual Twitch client that TwitchLib gave us here has a number of named parameters. So they did the same thing on credentials, which I'm not going to pull up. Although I could just create a new set of credentials here, because those are hidden away right now and I don't want to have to adjust my OAuth connection, so hence why I'm not going to jump in there. But you can see username, then they ask for OAuth, and then you'll see I can, so those first two are the required ones, but then I get a bunch of optional parameters for the Twitch host, which is IRC WebSocket Chat Twitch.tv. So essentially that's the IRC connection that we're making. It connects on port 80, which is very convenient if you are in some kind of environment where, you know, a lot of ports are getting blocked. Let's see. And some other options that obviously we also are not messing with. Let's jump back over here though. So from this WebSocket, it just sets up on connected, message received, closed, and error. So let's take a look at client.onConnected, because this should be the one that calls back to us, I think. Okay. So make sure proper supply to OAuth. Okay, so contains that, OAuth. Okay, so that's funny. We specifically put in that OAuth and then it just removes it as its first step. So it's replacing that with an empty string, and then it is making a new one, putting that in there. Which I guess they're just removing it because they don't know whether I put it in there. So if I did, they're getting rid of it. And then they're assigning that. And then they pass out our OAuth, our username, and then the actual user should be our username again. So we could apply a nickname, which I believe within Twitch, the only one they actually let you change is just casing for your nickname. Is actually how they do it in here, but it makes me wonder if I am connecting to it through IRC in here, can I modify this and actually have a nickname that's different from my username? And I'm not sure if they'll let me, but it would be very cool if they did. That's something we might want to try someday. Either way, we then have our join channel, which is going to be the channel we specified. It should have pulled this out somewhere. So, auto join channel is that channel. So here it is. So you'll remember when we constructed our Twitch client, we passed in the set of credentials which it used, and we also passed in the channel that we wanted to use. So auto join channel was that one. So that's how it jumped in here immediately. But either way, I thought that was pretty darn cool. As I said, we can obviously replace this chat client at any point if we want to. We do not have to use this one, but I want to take a look at what else is in here. So on being hosted, on chat cleared, on connection. No. Let's see. On message sent, nope. Hosting, subscriber, user banned, left join, no, none of those are interesting. On whisper received. That one sounds fun. Okay, so I am actually just going to make a whisper received out of this instead. Okay, so what I'm going to toss in here, just because it's fun, if we really wanted to do this, this is, actually before I even mess with this, I'm going to commit what we've got right here, and I'm going to do that off screen for now, because I want to not commit my OAuth. So let me hide this from you guys for a second. So I'm going to make this not work and then get rid of it, because I don't want to commit my OAuth string. Imagine that. Why would I not want to do that? Any guesses? Okay. So now that I have removed my OAuth string, I am going to commit these changes. So sorry about you guys not getting to see that. But I don't want to have to reset that thing, so let's go ahead and I don't mind if you guys see the bot's username. You kind of know the bot's username because that's the name it goes by. All right, so let's bring you all back, and hey, welcome back. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, sorry about that. You guys lose the background music when I'm over on that screen. I need to fix that so that if I do have to jump over there, you guys don't lose that. Hopefully you guys can at least hear the background music so it's not like silent. Anyway, so that's the basic setup that we have here. The next things that I want to dig into, let's pull this up. I'd like to fix some of this up. Some of this I might do off stream, some I might do on. Obviously, if you want to use this bot, you can go grab a fork of it, and you just have to put in your OAuth string inside of the correct place, and you should be able to connect. Obviously, you need to change username for your username that you want to use for the bot, and you should be able to connect to a channel, preferably your own, so that you don't bother anybody else, and just connect it, and it'll say, hello, I'm the bot. So things I want to clean up here, I might put in some to-dos for myself, just for stuff that I want to fix. I mentioned already I want to deal with how we do the connection, because there is a connection that has to happen. So what I'd like to do is make it so that after we create this collection here, connect to each here. And essentially I want to give them time to connect themselves, and we'll do that reporting at this point. I'm not huge on the structure, but what I do like is the fact that each chat client is separate from the others for now. The other thing that I want to mess with is I want to have it respond to commands. So Twitch client, does this have any concept of command? Here we go. On chat command received. So what I'm wondering here is, when I build this up, do I have to each time tell it all the commands that it is using? So essentially in Twitch, if you've been on here very long, you've probably seen that most chat commands are prefaced by an exclamation point. And so you might do something like, you know, exclamation point coins or something like that, and it will respond and tell you how many coins you've collected while watching, and other things like that. There are also, just fun commands that, you send it a thing and it has a response. So little bits of fun. What I think would be neat, so I mentioned earlier that Streamlabs uses Python as its scripting language. I thought it would be fun if we, instead of using Python, had C# be our language of choice. Roslyn exists, so I haven't really dug into this, but I thought it would be kind of cool if we made it so that you could add Roslyn command to it. Now, that could be really dangerous or fun. Now, I say really dangerous or fun because obviously anybody that has the source code can add, whatever they want. So I'm obviously running the one that I've got here, so I'm not too worried about the security risk of that. But if you have worked with a lot of chatbots, you'll know that you can set up like runtime editors for them. So essentially the idea is that like I could, through Twitch chat, add in new commands that the bot can accept and respond to. So obviously if you're going to do that, you want to really restrict who can send it those messages. But I think it would be really neat if we could do that with C# and be able to like actually send it a new command. Now clearly if I go that route, I'm going to make it so only my account can actually modify anything. Yeah, I know, isn't it dangerous? But it'd be fun. It would be fun. Where is the... See, I agree. Ridiculously dangerous, ridiculously crazy, which is why you don't, I'm not intending this bot to, take over Streamlabs, right? I don't want this to be, the new cool thing. I want it to be fun. So this is, the feature that you always keep turned off and don't actually, run with. You don't actually allow anything in. And, I mean, what's the point of being able to have a string that gets compiled? Yeah, if I restrict just to my account, being the only one, I'd have to be extremely careful to make sure that it really did actually lock down to my account. The other thing is I would recommend against running the bot on any machine that you actually cared about. Likely what I'd do for it, to make it so it's even more secure, is actually have that as a separate library. So today, if you go to the DevChatter GitHub, you'll see that this bot is out there. I would probably have this as a lib extension that you could add to the bot. So even if you just grab the bot to have fun, play with it, you wouldn't be pulling in the ability to have anybody send in their own C# commands. But I do expect that we are going to want people to be able to extend it themselves locally with those, even if we don't accept them through the chat interface. I do think it would be really neat to be able to do it through the chat interface, though. So that's the piece that I would want, chat programming is essentially what I want to pull out as a separate extension. Can we set it up on a Raspberry Pi? So right now, I have kept it restricted to .NET Core, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to. .NET Core can pretty much run in a lot of places, so we basically, in order to run this chatbot, just need to be able to run a command line and make a connection to Twitch. So probably. So I was planning on wrapping a little bit early today. Usually on Thursdays I go from about noon Eastern time until about 2 p.m. Eastern time. But I've got a few things I need to get done today. We can keep talking for a few minutes, but I just wanted to let you know that we are going to bail a little early today. So hopefully everybody has had fun with this bot and thinks it looks kind of cool. As I said, it's out on GitHub. So I'm going to be continuing on this on DevChatter, although I do expect that I am going to do some more streams still where we are just going through some programming exercises and katas, because I think that's important to do anyway. I would already be doing them, so why not do them on the stream with other people who can talk, respond, laugh at the hilarity of when we do mess stuff up, and then obviously still work on this. There are other people doing other C# open source projects that we will probably also see if we can contribute to sometimes. Either way, hop on, talk to me about it. I will say C# is pretty awesome. I really do love the language, so I'm glad that you are taking the time to learn it. Is it the right language for all situations? The answer to that is absolutely no, because there is no language that is right for all situations. So you are welcome. Shout out. Just because you don't know C# super well doesn't mean you don't have good advice. We all have different backgrounds. I was actually primarily a Python, C++, like Linux developer. I mean, I was one of those crazy people that compiled my own operating system. I used to run Gen 2 Linux, and I got introduced to C# and and ASP.NET back in the day. The hilarity being that within probably 2 years of being introduced to them, is when I think Microsoft, no, it was within 3 years. So it was after 3 years of using C#, is when I got my first Microsoft MVP award. And it's like, that's basically the award that they give you for being a huge proponent of their technology. So that means it's like, oh yeah, I went from being totally Linux and not being on Windows basically at all to, hey yeah, you're like a poster boy of C# and ASP.NET. It's like, yep. So lately I haven't been super focused on that. Most of what I do is about process and that sort of thing, instead of focusing too much on a specific technology. But I do still dig into these from time to time because they come up, and I really do like the C# language. It can actually do a lot, and it's always growing. So, I mean, even down to simple things like string interpolation. So, I don't know if you've seen that, but now if you start with a $, you can just put in whatever you want and toss in curly braces, and all of a sudden, you have code access again. So I could say, just put my code in there, and it's really nice. So before having string interpolation, we had to do things like classic string format, where you would do one of these, and it looked a lot like what you'd have in like C++. And alternately, if you didn't want to do it this way, you could just do string concatenation or something like that. It was really ugly. Because both string concatenation and the string format both have their problems, but being able to just throw in the curlies and the variable names directly in line is really nice. So I think we're going to wrap here. As I said, thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you for chatting, and I'm glad our bot worked. So we're going to look at adding in both more advanced connecting, as well as, once we get that set up nicely, I want to just go and get this connected to something else. Even though right now we're just doing automated messages, I would like to be able to connect it to a few different services and just have it, repeat out whatever, say, hey, thanks for being here. Even though that's not really an awesome feature, it's just going to run on a timer and be kind of cool. And we can start adding more features from that. So, sounds fun. Hopefully you guys are excited and looking forward to doing more coding. And seriously, if you have questions about anything I'm doing, shout them out, let me know. And I look forward to that. So I think we're going to wrap here. Have a great day. Happy coding, everyone.